Hello world, it's Birdo Prey 5, Qapla, and welcome to my 5 biggest problems with Star Trek Picard, Season 3, Episode 1, The Next Generation. Let's just get into it.
Power cell depleted.
A jack-off gun. Dr. Crusher, who has gone Sarah Connor on us over the last 20 years, turning into a cold, hard killer from the most pleasant, nice, life-affirming physician ever in Star Trek, has turned, yes, into a cold, hard killer. But her choice of weapon is a most ridiculous pump action phaser that she has to literally pump every shot. And it seems to be the act of pumping which actually shoots the weapon. And despite looking exactly like a traditional Star Trek phaser rifle, somebody decided to engineer an energy weapon that can get jammed for reasons completely unknown. Obviously, whoever thought up this weapon doesn't understand gun theory. Okay, one of the biggest benefits of an energy weapon is no kickback. So you can keep it very precise. You can aim it well. But all that goes away if you have to physically pump it to shoot. Like, why even have a trigger? And look, it doesn't make any sense. And to the point that it kicks me out of the fantasy. And it's right at the beginning of the episode. So it's, you know, maybe had this been in the middle, it wouldn't have been so bad. But this is the first real scene of action of anything. We're 2 minutes in, and already I can think they've turned Dr. Crusher into a killer, and she's got to jerk off a gun to shoot it.
Helios, prepare to send a transmission. Subspace frequency myriad codec.
System prepared to transmit. State your recipient.
This message is for Admiral Jean Luc Picard.
Computer, do you hear that alert?
Yes.
Where is it?
Unable to determine location.
Thanks for your help. Why would anyone send a coded message to a more than 20-year-old Enterprise D communicator?
Unknown.
Myriad. Computer, try codec Myriad. Authorization Picard 47 Alpha Tango.
Accessing. It is a recorded message.
And then the second biggest problem. Not second biggest, second problem, excuse me. Probably the biggest problem from a technical standpoint, though not the biggest from a moral standpoint for me, is Dr. Crusher's plan to reach Admiral Picard. For whatever reason, she decides she has to send this message to his Enterprise D communicator. And even giving her the benefit of the doubt that somehow he would know the right password to use to receive the message. What were the chances that his Enterprise D communicator was going to be in earshot of him when he received the message? It's like 1,000,000,000 to 1. Okay? The only reason he could hear it was because he just happened to be leaving soon with Laris to go to some other planet. So he had all of his old stuff out in boxes to be sent off to the Fleet Museum. Had this message arrived a day before, a week before, a month before, a year before, it's been 20 years. Had this message arrived any time prior, that communicator would have been packed deep inside a box, deep inside another box, deep in the basement or attic of the chateau, where no one would ever have heard it. And if it had come in 12 hours later, it would have been in a storage container headed off to the Fleet Museum, where no one would have ever heard it for weeks. And then it certainly wouldn't have been Picard who would have heard it. It would have been some ensign who was working in the museum and probably would have just left it beeping because they're like, I don't want to be bothered with this shit. The battery will die eventually. So 1 in a quadrillion chance for this work. I know every TV show, every movie, you always have some coincidence to make the story flow. But this, the math involved here is beyond ridiculous. She has no idea if this even exists anymore. And she sends the message. And then the time it's going to take him to find her, even if he immediately decoded it, even if somehow he knew what the secret message meant, even though by definition she sent a thing he couldn't possibly have known about, even if, the chance that he found that Will was on Earth to even talk to him about this, despite her saying, don't talk to anyone in Starfleet, and he immediately said, oh, let's talk to Riker. He's a captain in Starfleet still. Despite all that, it's a 1 in a quadrillion chance. And then the time it would take for them to reach her, and she's on the edge of Federation space, even their fastest ships, you got to imagine it's got to take a couple of weeks at least to cross all of Federation space. No, it seems like it's done in hours. If they could cross in hours, then they can basically travel across the entire galaxy in a month. It doesn't make any sense. Fine. But this third issue, this is my biggest problem. And it's so short.
I gotta make a speech at that frontier thing next week. It's like a parade through space. Wants to hear some old fart drone on about going boldly for the last 250 years.
I do, Terry. I want to hear that story, going boldly for 250 years. And they do. And yes, I know I can talk for them. We're your fans. We're the fans of Star Trek. It's always been about going boldly where no man has gone before. That's the most basic tenet of Star Trek. And you say, who wants to hear that? This is why I have grave concerns over your leadership in Trek. And we have people like Robert Meyer Burnett and Dave Cullen now, and you got Gary at Nerdrotic, and they're all telling this is good. They've seen it. This is really good. And it might be. It probably is. But this isn't Star Trek. This is not my Star Trek. Maybe you're going to say, well, and I know you had Laris throw in a line about, it's okay to remember the past. I don't need your permission to tell me it's okay to remember the past. But thank you. But this isn't my Trek. This isn't the Trek I want. I don't want a bridge that's so dark. There's no excuse. You know how to light a bridge here. This is what a bridge should look like. It's beautiful. It is beautiful. Yeah, it's the Orville. But that is a beautiful bridge. What are you guys thinking? So yeah, this is my biggest concern. to have Riker basically say, who wants to see a parade in space? Speech by a guy talking about 250 years of going boldly. I do. That's exactly what I want. You couldn't have hit it on the head any better with a 25th century hammer with a laser-guided head. You did it. That's what I want. Do that, please.
Starfleet Intelligence Officer Commander Raffi Musiker on a secure channel, requesting a debriefing and more money.
The fourth issue, and hardly holds a candle, no pun intended, sub rosa, to the earlier problems, but still. Raffi is supposedly a trained spy for Starfleet intelligence, so she needs to make contact. Does she beam up to her ship? Does she have secret gear that she can communicate with just touching her ear so nobody knows that she's actually a spy? No. What does she do? She has an old style TOS communicator for some reason that she's got to open up. She then announces on a public street, "This is Commander Raffi with Starfleet Intelligence. I need more money and I need to talk to my handlers." Something like that. She announces it on a public street that she's with Starfleet Intelligence. There's aliens all around. Okay, granted, she's in like an alley that's somewhat secluded, but just a few feet away, there's aliens. God knows which aliens can hear better than others. It doesn't make any sense that somebody with Starfleet intelligence training would just get out a communicator and yell into it, "I'm a spy, I need more money," after just talking with her drug dealer, who himself ridiculous, pay God knows much money for a tip of the Red Lady. And then, to top it off, the highly dangerous, and I'm assuming illegal drugs she just purchased, she just leaves it on the floor because who cares, right? A kid could come by, an addict could come by, anybody could come by and like, oh, free crack, free cocaine, free whatever, okay? Though that was not weed. That was some serious level drug she purchased. And she just leaves it on the floor for some poor son of a bitch to find. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense.
Kill shot, straight down. Cool. Efficient. Doesn't sound like the Beverly I know.
She'd only do that defensively.
Have you ever seen ashes like this from phaser fire?
No. Very peculiar. I'll check the bridge.
And then number 5, and the most facepalm to me of it all. Captain Riker correctly identifies the ashes as coming from a phaser, meaning, and he even says it's a kill shot. He knows damn well these ashes are remains. Now, are they human remains or alien remains? They're, for all practical purposes, human remains. And what does he do? He puts his hands in there. He's like getting his hands all in there. He's like, yeah, let's play with these ashes. Let's sprinkle them through my hands. Like he's some type of diabolical, I don't know, crazy psychopath. He's playing with ashes like kids play with sand on the beach. Why? He's not doing anything. He's not weighing the sand. He's not, maybe I can figure out what type of species it is. If I look for little, scales in the sand, maybe it's a gorn. No, he's just playing with the ashes of a dead person for no apparent reason. And it hurts my brain. It hurts my brain. This is what they've done. These were just 5 reasons that this episode hurt my brain. And in my full review, I go on for 90 minutes. And before we go, there's this. There's nothing wrong with this.
We're going on the Titan. Your old command.
It's the only sway I've got. It's the new refit Neo-Constitution class. Now the fleet's going to be dispersing for exercises in preparation for Frontier Day. And that should give us a little freedom to operate.
Okay, Terry, if I had a hat, I'd tip it to you. A beautiful shot of a Neo-Constitution class. Too bad it wasn't the Enterprise, but we'll take it. The Titan. It brought a little tear to the eye. A lot of good memories in space dock. Qapla All. Till next time, Bird out.